Hey, how we doing, everybody? This is the video that I forgot to make when I should have made it when I first started making videos. So if you're seeing this video and you're wondering why the surroundings have changed, it's because I've already left the UK and I've made lots of videos in the UK, forgetting to make this video. So this is the second video I've uploaded onto the channel, but it's like the 20th or something like that video that I actually made. I wanted to make a video. There's a lot on YouTube now. Why I'm leaving the UK, why I've left England, I've had enough, England's broken, get out, the UK's finished, all this stuff. I'm not going to do that because I don't agree with that. First of all, let me tell you the good things about the UK, because people always start off, oh, Britain's broken, it's finished. And I'll tell you the good stuff. Then I'll tell you the stuff that is causing problems. And then I'll tell you why I left. So the good things about the UK. First of all, it's a tolerant country. It's not a country that's extremist and highly volatile and like some dictator type states or nations. That's a good thing. Secondly, you can't beat English banter. You can't beat it. I've traveled. I've actually been to quite a lot of countries in the world, and the banter we have back home is different class, absolutely different level to anything else. There's some countries that they do have a bit of banter about them, and it's not too bad actually, but compared to the UK, you can't beat it. It's the best thing. We know how to have a laugh. Beg your pardon. Thirdly, things work, such as if you want to get a mobile phone, if you want to set up the internet in your house, if you want to go lease a car, buy a car, hire a car, if you want to get on public transport, these things work. Can they be better? 100%. But they're there, and things can be done quickly. You know, the boiler blows, the cooker's not working, whatever. These things can get fixed quickly. You can get a repair person to the house, and you think all the things you deal with in life on a daily basis, car breaking down, the AA or whoever you use, they're with you within a couple of hours. The boiler blows, you can get an emergency plumber out. How often do the lights go out? We take it for granted, you know, not having blackouts. How often do you get a blackout in the UK? Public transport, we've got buses, we've got trains. Flying out of the UK, you've got two major hubs in Heathrow and Gatwick. You can fly direct to pretty much anywhere in the world out of those two airports. And because quite a few air carriers fly out of those airports, you've got competition, which means prices are competitive. That's not the case with lots of other countries. You've also got the outdoor nature of the UK, which is fantastic. There's parts of the UK that are stunning. If you like that outdoor nature side of whether it's Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, England, you know. We've also got the coast on the south, which it's not too bad. It's not Spain, Cyprus, Mediterranean. It's not Mediterranean coastline, but there's parts of it that are pretty decent. Also, in the UK, we are tolerant, and there's good levels of diversity, which are good for the UK, but there's also an element that isn't good, which I'll discuss when I talk about the things that are problematic in the UK at the moment. You've got a variety of cuisines, you've got choice of different theatre, you've got choice of different music genres and music festivals and music events. Also, London is one of the best cities in the world. I don't know a city as vibrant and as diverse and as lively, with so much going on in many different ways, as London. London's a cracking city. Don't let anyone ever tell you London's shit, London's rubbish. It's not, it's a cracking city. But there are problems with London. And that's what people kind of inflate. And there are problems with London, like a lot of major cities around the world. So look, there's plenty of good things to say about England. England's always going to be home. It's where I was born. It's where I was raised. I love the UK. I think the UK is a great place. And I'm not here to knock it. You know, I'm leaving England because it's broken. It's finished. I'm not saying that. Not at all. Things that are problematic, any which way you look at it, okay, to just turn a blind eye to the immigration situation and to just pretend there isn't a problem with mass migration and illegal migration, which a lot of people don't say that. It's politically incorrect. No, say it as you feel, right? Just be true to what you want to say. There is a problem, and it has changed society, quite often in a good way, but also in a negative way, because the integration has completely now become a situation in the UK whereas when my parents came to the UK in the 60s and 70s, they came in maybe 10, 20,000 migrants per year. And you had to integrate, you had to learn English, you had to assimilate. Otherwise, you were never going to get anywhere in life. Whereas now, because of the numbers that have come in, the demographics of certain postcodes, certain areas, has meant the assimilation process hasn't been necessary, because, well, you can get on with your community because your community is all of the same. Is there an traditional English person in that community? And in some postcodes and in some towns, no, there isn't. And that's the problem. So the assimilation process has begun to fail over the last 10 years. And it's getting to a point now where someone somewhere with a huge pair of cojones has to grab hold of it and say, this is what Britain is, these are the values, this is what is going to be accepted, this is what is not going to be accepted, for the sake of social cohesion. And I don't know who does that, because whoever does that is going to be volatile. But it needs to happen, because it has become a problem in the UK. And you can see it. And if you ignore it, or if you pretend it's not a real thing, then either you're in denial, you're deluded, or you're just a liar. Everyone deep down knows there is an issue now that needs to be dealt with. And the issue is not to go far right, and it's not to go far left. You know, to say to hell with all migrants, no. To say more migrants, more asylum seekers, no. There's got to be that middle ground where you find the balance, and Britain stays Britain, and it doesn't try and become something it's not. That's my view, that's my opinion. But that doesn't mean Britain is finished, okay? It just means it needs to be fixed. It needs to be, a solution needs to be solved for that situation. The second thing with England is the cost of living. It's very expensive now in the UK. And that's partly down to poor politics. It's partly down to external factors, global factors that are affecting all countries, not just in Europe, but across the world. And it's also down to not having a contingency or planning for an increased sized population. But then that probably comes down to poor politics. So cost of living is definitely up, but it's up everywhere in most countries. Most countries have seen a cost of living crisis. It's not just the UK. And the other thing that has really, it's made conversation very difficult in the UK it's this wokery, it's this liberalism of unelected people, such as civil servants, actually dictating the direction of travel for the UK. Nobody votes for civil servants. Nobody votes for most of the employees in Whitehall. We vote for politicians and we vote for leaders. If you believe that they actually control countries, because some people say they don't, each their own. But they are the ones who advise MPs and frontbench politicians what to do. No one elected them to tell the politicians what to do. Then the politicians often listen to them. Well, that's problematic because a lot of things that happen in the UK aren't in the manifestos that people vote for when electing a party. And this liberalism or wokery has made it impossible to speak about certain things without everyone being offended. And if one person's offended, that means everyone's offended when that's not the case. And things have been ushered in to society without the people having a say or being allowed to at least adapt and see whether it works or not. It's just been forced onto people. Don't say this, don't do that. You know, a good example. You have in the UK at the moment all these rules that are about to come in regarding blasphemy on different religions, or what can you say about that religion? What can't you say about this religion? What can you say about this? It should not be down to the civil service to decide this, because these are massive things that are going to impact the way people think about their country. They think whether or not they're being censored, thinking about the way they're going to be allowed to vote. These will have impacts just outside of, right, here's a new law, we must now follow this new law. But if you bring in a law, it will impact on how people vote, depending on how that law makes them feel and the way the media spin it. So every religion should be allowed to be criticized, regardless, and every religion should be allowed to be praised and celebrated. That's what Britain is supposed to be about. If you start saying you can't say this about that religion, you can't say this about that, you can't say this about this group, you can't say that about that group, there's a fine line between criticizing, questioning, and being nasty and racist. Just because you criticize or challenge, it doesn't mean you're racist, and it doesn't mean that you're nasty. But what's happened in the UK at the moment, and this is kind of what I'm trying to say here, because maybe I haven't articulated this too well. If you dare challenge something, or if you dare question something, it's now classed as racism. Racist, Nazi, and that is a terrible, terrible way for a country to operate. And I see it a lot. I see the media, journalists, radio presenters, they're so quick to just call you a racist or a Nazi if you just ask the question or you challenge something. Good example. There was a conversation going on a couple of years ago about banning the burqa. Right? Personally, I couldn't care less. Do what you want. I'm not really bothered what politicians do anymore. It doesn't impact my life in the way that it used to. But banning the burqa is, for me, that is almost a racist thing to do. And I tell you why. Because why just the burqa? Why not ban all face coverings? Because I see kids in the UK on their bicycles, all blacked out, hoodies, they've got balaclavas on. And I'm thinking, that doesn't look dodgy, does it? No, that doesn't look at all dodgy. No, it is dodgy, right? Ban all face coverings, like hoodies with a covering over the mouth and you can just about see the eyes. Ban all head coverings. Because if you're going to ban the burqa, then that's an attack surely on a religion or a culture who wears the burqa. But if you ban all face coverings, what you're saying there is, well, hold on, we don't want face coverings so we can identify who people are for the security and safety of everybody. We need to see, and cameras need to pick up on what goes on should something terrible happen, if a crime is committed. So if you ban balaclavas, you ban hoodies in certain situations, you ban face coverings and the burqa, that makes sense to me. But if people say ban head coverings or ban facial covering, there are people out there that will just say racist, Nazi, right? And so you understand, this has to stop. So there's loads to love about the UK. I've mentioned there's a good diversity. There's such a variety of food to pick from, various theatre productions. The music genre scene is so wide and far reaching. The outdoor nature, the countryside, you know, the vibrancy of London. It's not just London. You've got great cities like Manchester, Leeds, Liverpool. These are good cities. There's a lot going on in these towns. Edinburgh, cracking place. There's places in Wales. And anyway, things do work. Can they be better? Yes. The NHS could be better. The transport system could be better. So there's plenty to love about the UK. And it's not until you travel abroad and you realise, well, actually, the UK it's a pretty good place. And the fact you can even travel so easily out of the UK is a big plus. But the negatives are definitely this immigration conversation. People keep trying to kick the can down the road. It needs to be dealt with. The wokery and forcing things onto people, they're two very problematic things. And of course, cost of living. So if the UK could sort out the immigration situation, the cost of living situation, which is more of an economic conversation, and the wokery, it actually goes a long way to fixing a lot of the things that people feel angry, frustrated, and anxious about. So why did I leave the UK? Finally, we got there, right? The reason I left the UK is for two reasons. Number one, when I was a student, I was down in Brighton. And living in Brighton as a student, I can't begin to tell you how amazing it is to live by the sea during the summer. Being by the south coast of England in the summer is such a great feeling, mentally, spiritually, soulfully. It just makes you feel different in so many positive ways. And also the sun, vitamin D. Unfortunately, I moved out of Brighton after university. I went back to work for a year, and Brighton, when it's cold, is freezing cold because you get that cold breeze from the sea as well. So it's even colder than what London is. It's like this chill that just hits you. It's freezing. So I've always liked being by the sea, and I've always loved being in sunny locations when I've traveled or gone on holiday. I just love being in a sunny climate. So Cyprus, by the sea and the sun, for me, is something I've always wanted to do. And I thought, why wait till I'm 65, 70 years old, retired to do it? Do it now, whilst I can do it now. I'm a single man. I don't have a wife. I don't have kids. It's easier for me to make that move. So I thought, just do it now and see how it goes. So number one, weather, sea, climate. I just want that outdoor, alfresco lifestyle, having breakfast outside, dinner outside, going to the gym. Half of the gym down the road is outdoors, so I get to train outdoors. Do you know what feeling that is? Do you know what it feels like to go to the gym and you're outside? It's how it should be, right? It's how it should be. That's the first thing. Secondly, and it goes back to the cost of living crisis and the economic situation that I mentioned. Right now, and I don't know why the UK has done this, right? I don't know what they're thinking. But if you're an entrepreneur and you want to start a new business, the UK has made it so difficult for businesses. The taxes are too high, the rates are too high. the United Kingdom is not a business-friendly environment how it used to be. My dad built a small business up. My friends' parents built up businesses. I've got friends who own businesses. And it's not what it used to be. And it is down to government decisions. Britain is heading down that path of hate the rich, hate the rich, hate the wealthy. Let me tell you something. When you start a business, it's the hardest thing because it's risk, it's capital that either you've borrowed or you've saved to invest. And with that comes a lot of responsibility and anxiety and stress. And you need a number of years to build up the business so it's profitable, it's cash flowing, and you carry all the shit and stress of running a business because you've got to pay the staff, you've got to pay the bills, you've got to make sure that the problems are solved, that new business is coming in, that bills are being, invoices are being paid, money collected. You've got to do the legal, you've got to do the accounting, you've got to do the admin, the sales, the marketing, the customer service. When you start out, you're doing everything. You literally are wearing every single hat. And it's stress and it's hard. It's really hard. Any business you start up. And the UK has made it very difficult to be an entrepreneur now. And I don't know why they've gone down that road. I don't know why they're doing that because it's entrepreneurs that create the jobs. It's entrepreneurs that pay the most taxes. And I just feel that the UK has become anti-business or is putting too many obstacles in front of business. And that's one of the reasons the economy in the UK has shrunk. It's one of the big reasons unemployment with the youth is so high. You know, putting up national insurance, what do you think that's going to do? It's going to stop people from employing, and that's what's happened. So have I come to Cyprus to avoid tax? No, I've always paid my taxes. I've come to Cyprus because the business that I want to start and the business that I now want to build, which is an artificial intelligence automation agency, it's so much easier for me to start it in Cyprus. And like I said, the hardest thing is to scale the business the first 2-3 years. So you want to take as much stress and as much angst off of you in the beginning. I can't do that in the UK. Not as easily as other countries. You know, it's easier to go to other countries now and do this. And that shouldn't be the case. Now, I might scale a really good sized business and say, right, I'm going to come back to the UK, or I'm going to spend half my time in the UK and open up an office there because I'm in a financial position where I can. The big businesses, they don't care. The big businesses, they can take the hits, they can take the extra financial burden, they can deal with all the legalities and all the compliances and all the regulation that is thrown at them. They can deal with it. But for the small guy, the small girl, the small person, we can't. It's hard. And the UK made it double as hard, and they didn't need to do that. So the second reason I moved to Cyprus is because I'm starting a new business, and Cyprus is a much better place than the UK now to start a small business. And I can't believe I'm saying that because Cyprus was never that country. Please bear in mind, my customers will be global, not all in Cyprus, because I wouldn't come to Cyprus if I had to depend just on Cypriot customers, because the footfall and the size of Cyprus is tiny in comparison to all the other countries in Europe. But I am one of these businesses where I just need a computer, a mobile phone, and an internet connection, and I can run the business. So if I can run the business off my laptop, so to speak, being in the UK makes no sense now. And that's a tragedy because, like I said, I'm not on here saying Britain's rubbish, Britain's broken. I think Britain's a great place. I never left because of the problems it's facing. I miss my friends and family. Like earlier on, I was sitting here, guys, and I literally did this. I put my hands in my head, and I just dropped and I said, what the fuck have I done? I actually said to myself, what the fuck have I done? Because I just felt lonely, you know. I haven't got friends here like I did back home. I've been living in the UK for 46 years. That's 46 years of friendships. Pretty much most of my family's in the UK. Uncles, aunties, cousins, brother, sister, nephew. I don't have that here. I've got a little bit. I've got a few connections. I've got a little bit of family here, but not like the ones that I've got in the UK. People that understand me, people who I understand. There's connections. We understand because we've grown up in the same culture. We've grown up in the same country. The banter's the same. We can talk about current affairs in the same way. I've got none of that here. I don't have hardly any of that. And I just sat at it tonight, just put my hands on my head and like, what the fuck have I done? Because I was just feeling a bit lonely. You know, relationships are important. And that's one of the things I've sacrificed. Maybe I'll live to regret that. Maybe I'll look back and say, what the hell did I do? Was it worth it? But I don't know. I took a punt. I'm going to give it a go, and I'll see how it works out and reassess. But the reason I left the UK is not because England's shit, Britain's crap. England's got big problems, and the UK has got big problems, but so do a lot of countries. My reason for leaving is sun and sea, and because I'm starting a new business, and it did not make sense to start that business in the UK. Not in the first 2-3 years. It just doesn't make financial sense. So we'll see how we go. But anyone thinking of leaving the UK, anyone who's thinking of trying something different, do it. Just give it a go. But if you're leaving because England's crap, England's broken, you hate Britain, then you know what? Leave because you just hate everything around you, and you're probably in a pretty unhealthy place mentally. You're just unhappy with your surroundings. So just change your surroundings for that reason. But don't think going abroad, everything's amazing and everything's wow, because that's not the case. Focus on the specific things that you prioritize as needing to be better. For me, it was the climate and being by the sea, and it was starting off a new business. Those were my priorities. My mental well-being, that healthy outdoor living, and starting a new business. And when I prioritized these two, I said to myself, I need to make a move, because these two are better abroad. But things like relationships, banter, diverse cuisines, the vibrancy of London, traveling, having a hub that I can travel from, all those things are better in the UK. All of that is all better in the UK, no doubt about it. So if those things are more important to you, then don't leave the UK, or find somewhere that at least offers you that. But my priority was climate, that outdoor lifestyle, and starting a new business, the specific business that I'm doing. Because if you start a digital business in Cyprus, the tax benefits are massive, and it takes a lot of stress and angst off of my shoulders as I'm trying to grow it. I don't have to worry about the costs that I would have to incur if I was in the UK. And when you're building in those early stages, you need to release the pressure and the stress off you as much as possible, because it's a tough journey at the beginning. Believe me, I built a small business in the UK, 2 of them, and the beginning is so freaking hard. And when the problems come, you feel like the whole world is on your shoulders, and the problems will come. There's always problems, but they're harder when you're in the beginning, because you don't have much wiggle room with the finances. So yeah. All right, guys, I hope this message served you well. If you've got any questions or anything that you're not sure of regarding what we spoke about just now, put a message in the comments and I'll respond to you. I try and respond to all the comments. Otherwise, I hope this message serves you well. Until the next one.